Hi, everybody, and welcome to, I'll call it a family edition of Words, Images, and Worlds. On this episode, we have Orion Zangara. And Orion, you have a guest with you. Is that true? Do you want to
Yeah,
introduce your
I,
guest?
I this is Rigel Zangara, my daughter. She's unexpected co-host.
I love it. I love it. She's actually in charge. She is running the
Yeah,
show,
totally.
managing the Zoom controls, and fully engaged and in charge. So that works really well. Glad to have you both on the show.
Thank you. I really appreciate having us.
Yeah, yeah. Now I'm gathering you have a large piece of art there. You have a stack of,
My
it looks
God.
like, uh, what are those called? They're not Funko Pops. What are
Yeah,
those?
they're all. So my office is just like a little kid's room, basically.
I love it. I love it.
Just like it is Funko Pops. I think there's like from the comic saga. There's
Oh yeah.
John Waters, there's a Dragon Ball thing, there's a bunch of stickers. It's just a crazy, wacky place.
I love it. I love the crazy and I love the
Yeah.
wacky. So what was it that got you on this path of comics and comics making?
So my grandfather is Joe Kubert, and
Hmm, hmm.
he's a very influential comic book artist, and that
Hmm.
was the initial introduction to the comic book world. I also have a bunch of family members that do comics as well. But I think being exposed to art at such a young age like that kind of influences your head. And
Yeah.
so that's where it came from. And it's a good way to, express yourself.
Hmm, hmm.
So, and like when you're younger, you're releasing like all your emotions and all that into like a healthier, productive place. So I think that's,
Definitely.
yeah, I think that's where it came from initially.
Yeah. Were there characters and stories and things like that that you really connected with as a young reader?
So I think like I think it it depends on like where in my youth I was. Like when I was younger, it was just cartoons or anything fun. And then as I got older, it was a little bit more superheroes. And then when I got older, like when I was in high school, it started to become more like indie comics and stuff that
Hmm,
I like.
hmm.
But now it's kind of a mixture of everything.
Nice.
So I don't know if there was one specific character that that influenced me in that way. But
Yeah.
yeah.
There's so much too. Like these days, I mean, there's kind of a comics explosion, and people call them graphic novels or whatever you want to call them. But it's cool to live in the world where they're the superhero stories, they're the indie comics,
Mhm.
there are so many things to enjoy.
Yeah, yeah. It's amazing because I remember when I was younger, they didn't have I feel like the wide range of material out here wasn't as readily available as it is now.
Hmm.
So it's just fascinating. And I love how like, you could you can have somebody like Jeff Lemire who has, draws more indie comics, but then he dabbles in mainstream, and now he's kind of like a hybrid of everything, and then he works on creator own projects. And it's just really cool that there's not just a specific lane anymore, I think is.
Hmm.
And another artist I really like, Sean Phillips.
Yeah. Oh
He
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he has like a lot of, because he's from Europe, he has a lot of European influences in his art.
Hmm.
And that's kind of cool that it kind of merges that lane too. So you kind of it's just a really, really great time to be reading comics and to be in art, and so it's just really fascinating to me.
Yeah, and it sounds like Rigel agrees.
Of
I,
course
I
she agrees. She's being
believe so.
so good. Oh my goodness. Before she was a little active, but now. doing fantastic.
Love it, love it.
Yeah,
She is podcast ready.
I
Um,
know.
so probably the work that we want to spend a little bit of time talking about is Stoneman Mysteries. So,
Yeah.
how did Stoneman Mysteries come about? And it's a three
So
book series, I believe.
yeah, so it's three different books. This came out like the last one was quite a bit ago. It was like 2019,
Mhm.
um, or the very end of 2019. And essentially, it came about because I was in contact with Jane Yolen for a long time,
Yeah,
and um, I just was talking to her and just showing her my artwork, like I have for a few creative people. And she was like, well, I can't really, get you any work. And I was like, well, I'm just showing it to you because I've been reading your books since, middle school.
yeah,
And
yeah.
but then one day she's like, well, I have this book that I'm thinking of with she actually co-wrote it with her son. And she's
Hmm.
like, well, I'll put you in the drawing for it, but no guarantees. And I didn't really expect anything. And then one day I got an email saying like, they want you.
Love it, love it.
Yeah. So that's how I did it. And it's still a big deal to me because she's my one of my literary heroes. And
Hmm.
I've loved her work for a long time, and I love the story. And she actually has a house in Scotland. So she kind of based a lot of, the territory around where she kind of lives, which is kind of interesting.
That's really cool. And
Uh,
I mean, of course, you can't go wrong with Devil's Arithmetic. That's
that,
a
oh yeah,
go-to. Yeah.
yeah. Or Briar Rose, I believe that's how.
Hmm.
Yeah, that was a fantastic novel. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then there's the air of the mystery in those
Mhm.
graphic novels. There's the air of like the supernatural and
Mhm.
fantastic that I really appreciate. And I've
Yeah,
seen them on like Kindle or digital. So it's cool to see
yeah.
them in print. That's a very nice looking edition too.
Yeah, yeah. And also it's I found it really I'm really interested in like the history of the Holocaust because I'm Jewish and I have family members that were I guess more ancestors that was in the Holocaust. And
Mhm, mhm.
she is also Jewish, and I don't know if she had ancestry in the Holocaust or not, but she, her Devil's Arithmetic, the Devil's Arithmetic and Briar Rose has to do with the Holocaust as well. So
Yeah, yeah,
that was also something that we connected over as well. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And then great stories to explore
Yeah.
that time and those events. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. So any I was going to ask about collaboration and what that's like for you, and any positive voices that have been there along the way that have sort of cheered you on in your creative journey.
well, I mean, the main collaboration with Jane Yolen was really interesting, and Adam Stemple and the editor Greg Hunter, because it wasn't something that I have ever experienced for before. It because I never really drew a graphic novel. So what we did was, we went through the script, and then I would have a layout, and then they would give me edits, and then they would tell me what to change, and then I would do the first draft of the drawing, and then they would tell me what to change, and then they would try the lettering, and it was like a back and forth process, which I
Hmm.
just really fascinating. Um, After that, I worked on a graphic novel with this Bram Stoker award-winning art author by the name of Mercedes Yardley. And we
Hmm.
did the graphic novel called Pretty Little Dead Girls. Um, that's currently we're trying to get on the Bram Stoker list right now.
Nice.
Um, and so we did that graphic novel, and that was a really interesting collaboration because it's more of a horror, whimsical kind of material, and
Hmm.
that was a lot of fun to do. Um, and Mercedes, we still talk now, and we're in the process. One of my additional projects is we're going to be making a Pretty Little Dead Girls graphic novel that's about 500 pages. So this is
Nice.
going to take I don't know how long, but I feel like I'm at a point where I can kind of like divorce the financial aspect to like what I want to actually work on.
Hmm.
So I can, focus all my energy into and take my time to make
Yeah.
exactly what I want. And I'm finally at a point where I can do that.
Yeah.
And so now I can make like this huge 500-page graphic novel, and I want it to be kind of like an Art Nouveau kind of look to it.
Hmm.
So that'll be really fun, and then I can color and practice coloring, and I'm just really excited about everything in the future.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very cool. Very cool. And
Yeah.
I was going to ask about sort of your creative dreams and next steps in your journey too. I know you mentioned you have a couple of projects that you're thinking about and working on.
Yeah, so besides the Pretty Little Dead Girls graphic novel, there's another project that I can't say too much about, but it's a biography.
Mhm.
I have a publisher in mind, but currently I'm writing it, and then I'm going to be showing the script to a bunch of comic book writers and just regular writers and just anybody I can show just to get me feedback before I start the layouts and the
Hmm.
letter. Because usually what I'm try to do is do the layouts and the lettering at the same time, so I know exactly where all the like how much space you need.
Smart,
Um,
smart. Yeah.
yeah, so that's like what I'm primarily occupied by. But other things I'm working on is I'm working on a lot of personal illustrations. I also do like these art workshops for the Loudoun County Public Library here in uh, Loudoun, County, Virginia. And
Okay.
so we do these like portrait drawings. So I'm posting some of those drawings, but soon it's going to be a lot more. And I'm also doing these personal short like comic books. They're kind of like web comics, and they're
Hmm.
kind of experimental. And I'm going to be releasing those online, and then I think I'll collect them all in a collection. So those are
Very
my
cool.
projects, and then I'm just also fiddling with other graphic novel scripts and just having fun and not worrying about the financial component to everything because previously I worked well actually right now I do freelance graphic design, and
Hmm.
while like I enjoy doing that at for many years it ate up most of my time. So I just want to um in the future, once this little one's older and then our next one is a little bit older, I'm going to transition to being an art teacher, and
Uh-huh.
then I can forget about the freelance aspect of things and just entirely focus on my creative pursuits.
Love it.
So that's my overarching plan as
Yeah.
this.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. And as somebody who's taught for 16 or 17 years, something like that, there's nothing like teaching in my
yeah,
experience. I can't imagine myself doing anything else. So, um,
yeah, but
yeah.
it's very rewarding. My wife's a teacher too, and she was previously a history teacher, but she just got accredited to be a science teacher, so she's going to be a science history teacher, which is very rare.
Yeah. Yeah. Love it. Love it.
Yeah, so that's.
Um, oh, sorry.
Oh no, no, I thought that was it.
You mentioned posting work, so we can kind of wrap up with this question, and then if there's anything you want to add, you're welcome to. But any spaces online that are especially active and productive for you that folks can follow along at?
Well, for a while, like during the pandemic, I wasn't really posting that much, just because of everything that was happening. But recently, I've been starting to post more.
Hmm.
That is on my Instagram, my Twitter, Facebook. If you just search my name, I'm the only Orion Zangara in the world, so it's easy to find. So it's just OrionZangara, and you'll find it. It's usually Orion Zangara art,
Cool,
but I
cool.
I have a lot more artwork coming out, and then I'll be able to reveal more stuff. So hopefully hopefully I'll grow it. But my main objection, my main you know, thing I'm doing is just putting out artwork. I'm not trying to necessarily create like a whole, you know, I, I am doing a career, but I'm not focusing on the financial aspect of it. So I'm kind of just posting it when when I feel the need to. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, very cool, very cool. Did I miss anything in the interview that you want to make sure to share before we close?
Well, I just wanted to emphasize again that my I believe I mentioned it, but my primary influence is really my grandfather, Joe
Yeah,
Kubert, and I want to make sure if anybody's not familiar with his work, definitely look it up because it's just he was just the master, um,
yes, absolutely.
and he just sorry, I have a wiggling baby right here.
Oh, it's good. It's good. I'm
um,
impressed with your navigating
it's
ability
like
with
right
that.
underneath. So just the way he composed every panel, the way he made every panel flow, it's
Hmm.
just you just don't really see artists that do this anymore. And
Yeah.
I'm just like immensely like fascinated every time I look at his work. Um, and that's just a special emphasis I wanted to leave with everybody.
Yeah, yeah, very cool,
Yeah,
very cool. And there is the Joe Kubert School.
yeah,
So
yeah,
definitely a foundational figure and
yeah.
someone who's inspired many, many artists out there.
Exactly, exactly.
The story continues, and glad that you're carrying on the art and the love of comics.
Hmm.
And it's been a great conversation. I've enjoyed the family edition, wonderful constellation. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I don't know if I mentioned this on camera or not, but I'll just repeat it. So the Orion constellation in the sky, its
Hmm.
brightest star is Rigel, which is a blue supernova. I'm not gonna a blue star,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so Rigel is named after my brightest star in my constellation.
Love
So
it.
I just think that's cute, and hopefully she doesn't hate me for that name later. Nobody apparently nobody can pronounce it like my name. Like
That I like that though. I like the unique naming and
yeah,
I love the creativity of that. So
yeah.
may she embrace her name and yeah, clearly
Yeah.
clearly the brightest star, clearly. So
Oh, of course. Of course. Look at her.
yeah,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, yeah. Well, and she's been amazing for the interview, I have to say. And glad to have either of you on anytime.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it, Jason.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.